Emmanuel Macron has convinced Donald Trump not to pull out of Syria amid the escalating crisis and rising tensions with complicit Vladimir Putin. The French president defended joint airstrikes against Syrian chemical weapons sites in retaliation for a suspected sarin and chlorine gas attack in Douma. Macron said Trump agreed to keep U.S. forces in the war-torn country before the two countries and Britain took military action against Russia's ally. He also said it was France that persuaded the U.S. to limit the strikes to chemical weapons sites, and accused Russia of being complicit in the use of chemical weapons in Syria. Donald Trump and Emmanuel Macron during a meeting in May last year. Image, AFP, one of the sites destroyed in the missile strikes by the U.S., UK and France. Image, AFP, Macron said. He spoke to Trump by phone before the military action and persuaded the U.S. president to maintain troops in Syria just days after the American president suggested his forces would leave. Macron told French media, 10 days ago, President Trump was saying, the United States should withdraw from Syria. We convinced him it was necessary to stay for the long term. He said the airstrikes were not intended to topple Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's government and were only aimed at Syria's chemical weapons capabilities. Macron said limited the action to chemical weapons sites was not necessarily Trump's initial plan. The USS Monterey fires a Tomahawk missile toward Syria. Image, Rex, Shutterstock. He added, we also persuaded him that we needed to limit the strikes to chemical weapons sites, after things got a little carried away over tweets. Macron, like Trump and Prime Minister Theresa May, hailed the strikes a success and said they were perfectly carried out, and all French missiles had hit their target. He also stood by his previous statement that France has proof that the Syrian regime had used chemicals against its own people in Douma in the April 7 bombing raid. One of the British Tornado jets involving in the airstrikes against Syria. Image, AFP. He also said he wanted to include Russia in any dialogue on a political solution for Syria, and he still plans to travel to St. Petersburg in May. Macron said Russia was complicit in the Syrian government's actions due to its continued support of the Assad regime. He added, of course they are complicit. They have not used chlorine themselves, but they have methodically built the international community's inability to act through diplomatic channels to stop the use of chemical weapons. Macron said the Western allies' airstrikes have separated Russia from Turkey, which has condemned the use of chemical weapons. Vladimir Putin is Bashar al-Assad's most important ally. Image, Reuters. The U.S., France and Britain launched 105 missiles at 3 sites near Damascus and Homs in the early hours of Saturday. The Western countries said the strikes were aimed at preventing more Syrian chemical weapons attacks after a suspected poison gas attack in the besieged rebel-held city of Douma killed up to 75 people. They blame Assad's government for the attack. Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, said Washington would impose further sanctions on Moscow on Monday due to its ongoing support of Syria.